Okay, I think we're live.
Yes.
Yes, we are live. I'm getting a notification right now that says we are live. So, how was your Friday, man?
Friday was pretty good. Friday was pretty good, man. Did an inspection this morning.
Where
Went
at?
over to over in Roseville. What's crazy is actually there's a community out there. It's right off of Blue Oaks. I believe it's an Eschaton community, and it's kind of cool because I was able to kind of get some perspective about older people and whatnot, and just some of the things that people that don't really have the ability to do everything for themselves anymore, but still want to have the
Mm,
independence. I mean, it was pretty nice to see. There was actually a
yeah.
lady that was going by on her little cart, and then she stopped and talked while we were doing the walkthrough. It was kind of crazy, but she was
Okay.
starting to kind of talk about how life is for her over there, and it's crazy. I mean, we're all going to get there at some point. So it's nice that
Hmm.
having a family, having the ability to do that kind of stuff is pretty cool. So it was interesting.
That's cool, man. So, how often do you go go and go to like inspections and stuff like that, and you meet people like that?
You know what, man? You never know, right? So I've had several this weekend. That's one of the big things about this career for me. That's like, yeah, I like to find things that I enjoy that. But really, for me, it's also the interaction with people, right? So I mean, I see all kinds of different people all the time. Sometimes I don't have any interaction at all because sometimes the clients can't come and all that. But that's the part that I actually really enjoy is meeting different people, right? So you never know. I mean, it's every day it's different. I might meet somebody that's, like I think it was Wednesday we did one. The family's getting ready to move and all that, and we had a discussion about the things that they've done to the house, and it was as for a seller. So we were talking about a bunch of different things, and it's cool to like to get people's like perspective and things that they've gone through, and actually get to know about their life and what their plans are and everything, and then at the same time get to share a little bit of knowledge about their house and things that they should do and all that. I mean, it's just there's always every day I meet a different kind of person every day, different walks of life in every situation.
I agree, man. You never know who you're gonna meet. It's such a small world. I always tell my kids this too. It's such a small world that you just want to be nice to everybody because if you're not, like you never know that person might that kid that you were being mean to or being nice to might be the kid of your future boss one day. Or you
Yeah.
never know. It's such a small world. Or
Yes.
they might or that kid that you treated right or did not treat right, their parent is actually buying a home through me right now. You know
Oh
what I mean?
man.
You
Yeah.
never know. It's such a small world. So like you never
Yeah.
know, man.
That's happened a
But
lot. The small world thing
mhm,
has happened a lot. It's like, oh wow, your kid goes to the same school as mine. That's
dude,
crazy. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it happens more than what people anticipate for sure. So
That's right.
well, cool, man. Well, I'm just gonna do a quick market update first and then we'll just talk. I do have some topics for you guys today, Chichi fams. Um, but then really after that, today we're just gonna chill. I'm gonna ask Charles a few questions here and there. Lisa's not with us today because she has some internet issues. I don't know if you guys noticed for the past couple of weeks, she's been having some internet issues where she keeps logging in and out because it's kicking her out. So, Comcast will do that to you.
That's
I'm
right.
just, I'm just playing.
No sponsors. No sponsors.
Yeah, but then she'll be back ASAP. But yeah, let me just do a quick market update real on my screen and then we could talk about everything else. If you guys have any questions, you know, um post your questions in the chat. All right, everyone. But yeah, don't be shy. If our audio sounds funny, let us know. If we look funny, let us know. But other than that, we're just gonna chill today. Okay, let me just share my screen real quick. There you go. The wonderful screen everybody loves. Let's look at this week's market update. Mhm. All right. Inventory is up 3% from last week. New listings are down 9%. Sold homes are down 27%. Pending homes are down 16%. Hmm. And inventory for the month comparison to last, it is up 5%. New listings are down 9%. Sold homes are down 23%. Pending homes are down 1%. That's not good. Whenever this is down, that means people are kind of waiting. They're on the bench before considering buying a home. So that's why all of this is down. That's why inventory went up. Okay, you guys see that? Inventory going up is good, but then it's all of these are down because everybody's not buying as much. All right, that's what that is. All right, same time last year, inventory is down 45%. New listings. Can't talk. New listings are down 25%. Sold homes are down 34%, and pending homes are down 9% from last year. Same month last year. And year to date comparison to last year, 45% decrease in inventory, 37% decrease in new listing, 30% decrease in sold homes, 25% in pending homes. Yikes. That's a lot of red, y'all. That is a lot of red. Man. Let's go with average price per square foot. It is up on average by 3% compared to last week. Last month, it is down 3%. Last year, it's still up by 1%. But year to date, it is down 5% average price per square foot. Okay. Days on the market, 22 days on average this week compared to last week. It was 27 days on average. How long it takes for a home to go pending. Okay. 100% of sellers are getting what they're asking for. Last month comparison, there is no change in days on the market. It is 22 days on average. How long it takes for a home to go pending. 99% of sellers are getting what they're asking for. And then same month last year comparison, 22 days on average versus last year it was 31 days on average. 99% of sellers are getting what they're asking for versus 96% of sellers last year was getting what they were asking for. Year to date, 32 days on average this year compared to last year, it was 18 days on average for a home to go pending. Sold. 99% of sellers this year are getting what they're asking for, and 101% of sellers are getting what they're asking for last year in comparison. Okay. I know I'm going through this pretty fast, but I figured I go over this data so much that you guys are pros at this already. You guys already know what these numbers mean. But if you guys do not know, you guys could always shoot them down in the comments and then I could break it down for you guys. Okay. I don't mind. Okay. Average price sold versus listed or active. This week, on average, it did go up 1.4. Man, 1.4 mil. Okay. That's like 88%. Okay, but sold is down 2% compared to last week. So 599,000 versus last week it was 611K. Last month on average, the active pricing this month is 1.3 mil versus last month it was 759,000. So this kind of tells me a lot of home that's in inventory right now, they're very high ticket homes, luxury homes. That's why this average active price right now is high. So these are the home that's not selling. Yikes. These are the homes that are selling. Okay, so on average, it's 606,000 this month versus last month it was 617,000. So it did go down. Okay. 1.8%. Just to give you guys an idea. Last year in comparison, 1.3 this year, 666,000 on average last year. Okay, big difference, big change. This year, sold price did increase compared to last year by 4%, 606,000 versus 582,000. Okay, so this is basically, look at this as kind of like the medium home price that's being sold right now. So 606,000. Okay, this year compared to last year. Year to date, 1.3 mil versus 666,000 last year. Sold is 580,000 this year versus last year years to date was 605,000. Okay. Some of you guys are confused. Man, I can't talk to you at all, Charles. Some of you guys are confused about this current versus previous year to date. So you guys see how it says January 2023 to current September 14th. So January until now, what is the average? And these are the average price for that year to date. Okay, and it's comparing the same data to last year. So hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so whatever happened August or July or June, all of that is being combined with today's date or today's data, and then it's coming out like the averages. That's where you get all of these. Okay, so on average, you can see that if you did a comparison there and here, you see how it's different month to month. It's 606, but when you break it all down to the year to date, it kind of went down to 580 on average. So hopefully that answers your questions. Okay, you know who you are. Okay, let's go over to monthly worth of inventory. Okay, this is what everybody wants to see. Man, look at that chart. See, no inventory. Ignore this because this is not accurate as much as it is this. Okay, so far we got 1.8 months worth of inventory, which is an increase from last month. 48%. Some may say that's good, but again, we need more inventory. 1.8 is still considered a seller's market. It needs to be well over 3 months worth until everything starts to stabilize and prices starts to normalize for buyers. Okay, now this month compared to last year, we had 2 months worth of inventory last year. Okay, so it is still down like about 14%. Year to date, on average, 1.4 months worth of inventory this year versus 1.8 months worth of inventory last year. 22% change. And that is the market update. Chi fams. You have any questions for me, Charles, or about this?
Yeah.
Anything at all? No? You good?
Mm-mm. It's just it's a little interesting, that's for sure.
What's interesting about it?
Just wondering where we're gonna go. I wondering how this is gonna all work out.
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question, right? Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
wondering that. Everybody wants to know what um the market's gonna be like. The other day I put up a post on Facebook. Somebody was like, where do you think the market's headed? Because I have an investment property that I don't know if I should sell or I should keep renting. And they were asking for my advice. And I said this. I said to that person, it depends on your goals. If you sell and it makes the net that you were looking for, then sell. If you rent it out and it's giving you the cash flow you're looking for monthly, rent it out. You know, without going to detail about your goals, it's kind of hard to determine whether or not you should sell or keep renting. You know, I always like to say, if you want to build wealth, well, actually, somebody told me this. One of my buddies told me this. If you want to build wealth, Chia, you got to hold on to properties so that we can cash flow. If you want to be rich, you want to flip houses. Big difference. Okay. Think about that. Okay. That makes sense for you, though, right, Charles?
Yeah, and I mean, I really feel like it makes it's perfect what you said about that too when they were asking, right? Well, why are you even trying to sell right now? Why are you worried about the market? What's your plan for
Hmm.
this house? Like, what's your plan for the future? What is your goal for this, right? Do you like why does the market make a difference as to why you need to all of a sudden unload this house? What are you thinking about? What's your worry? Are you worried if the market's going to tank and then you're going to lose value? Well, you know what? The house is going to still gain value in the future again. So then what's your end game? How long are you going to be in this? What are you looking for? So it's interesting, that some people are concerned about this right now. But the people that have owned a home for many, many years, unless they have a reason to liquidate the property, there really isn't a reason to, unless they just need that cash flow. There's no reason to sell the house. They got a monthly income coming in every single month, and like you said, it's the wealth that you're going to gain from that. All these properties that you have, it's all value.
Yeah, that's true. And again, it goes back to your own personal goal. What do you want as the outcome? That's going to ultimately decide where your direction is headed for your property. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what the market's going to be like. There's a lot of gurus out there that said the market's going to crash. According to the data that I'm showing you guys, and according to everything that I've been hearing, I don't feel like the market's going to crash anytime soon. Just because maybe it's because we're in California and then the market seems to be different from the rest of the world out there. But right now, okay, as in Sacramento and California, like I don't think a market's gonna be crashing anytime soon. I really don't. And another follow-up question that I got was, what do I think about interest rates? Like what do I think interest rates gonna look like um down the line? I think that interest rates may come down beginning of next year. Here's why. Next year's 2024. Elections are happening next year. We might get a new president, or the current president might stay another term. But from what I have noticed, Charles, the year following up to elections, everything looks great in the market. Stocks are up, gas is down, rates are down. So that's my projection. I think 2024 rates are gonna come back down. Everything's gonna come back down. So I mean, I could be wrong. Don't I'm not like a financial expert in that sense to where I could see the future. So don't take my advice in that regards. I'm just making a prediction here that I think next year, if you're waiting for rates to go down so that you can buy, and that's your ultimate waiting factor, then yeah, maybe next year rates might come down. But from history, what we've all learned though is when rates are down, prices go back up. Okay. Like, yeah, let me just share my screen again with y'all. Okay. So let's just go over to last year. Okay. Rates kind of went down around May of last year. No, went up. I'm sorry. Rates went up last year around May. Okay. It started going up, and then that's where you see the sold price started going down. Everybody was waiting. But remember what happened, Charles? When everybody that decided to buy, that started canceling on their new builds and all that, decided to not buy anymore because rates are so high. It went from like 3% to like 5%. They're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Okay, prices are gonna come down. I'm gonna wait. So sold price did go down for a minute, but interest rates kept going up. And those people that needed to buy still needed to buy. And then as February came around, they're like, you know what? Prices are not going down as much as I thought it would be. So you know what? I'm just gonna continue resuming my purchase. And then that's when everything started going back up again. And you guys can see it right here. Look, January was right here, and February was right here. And look, prices started going up. See? And that's when everybody was like, okay, we gotta get back on the bandwagon. All the sellers right here was like, okay, let's start putting the homes back on the market. And that's why this green line is going up right here. And then see days on the market. Look, last year, on average, 15 days. Homes started staying on the market longer because everybody was canceling. And after that, see, started going back down, started stabilizing around here. And then now we're kind of back to where we started last year, So hopefully looking at this chart, this data helps you guys determine and answer your own question of should you guys be buying or selling this time around. Okay. Somebody from the from Facebook group said something that was pretty good. They said, because I asked what's holding you off from buying a home, right? I'm just gonna share my screen. How about I do that instead of instead of talking about this, I'll just share you guys so that way I don't forget. Mhm. Okay, give me a second here. Just give me a second here. It's a lot. All right. Okay, let me share this right here. Let me just share this real quick. There you go. All right. So I said, what is stopping you from buying a home today? And they said pregnancy and stress and the stress of moving while pregnant, but also saving up for our down payment and closing costs so we don't have to rely on selling our current home to buy a new one. That's pretty valid point. Another person said this year, many sellers are willing to do closing costs, which is true, which saves you from having to come up with the closing costs up front. For example, the home is listed for 400K, and if you offer them the entire 400K, but they pay for closing costs, is a better option if money saved is a concern. Because if you bid for 390K, for example, and you pay the closing costs, the seller gets the same amount, but you have to bring in the 10K at closing. Whereas the first example, your higher bid of that 10K is built into your mortgage across 30 years. I love this person. She always gives a good valid point. So yeah, that is very true. Right now, a lot of sellers are offering incentives. We even came across a seller that's willing to allow the buyer to assume their existing loan, but the caveat was that loan you have to be a veteran to qualify for that loan, and it was like 2.75% interest rate, y'all. Crazy, right, Charles? I saw your eyes go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super low, but you gotta be a veteran to assume that loan. So yeah, they're getting creative to try to get rid of their homes. Okay, another person said, "I have wine taste with a beer budget."
No, I like
Another
some of these.
person,
They're funny.
that's so funny, right?
I want the house that
Yeah.
I can't afford.
Yeah.
Oh
That was
man.
the analogy. You guys didn't understand the wine joke. Another person said, "I want the house that I can't afford." Yeah. Another person said the interest rate's too high. Okay. Next person said all of the above. So they're afraid of a cash. They ain't got no credit score. I mean, a good credit score, and they don't have the down payment. So all of the above. A person said no hot girl. So that's what's stopping me. Ay. Another person said housing market price is way too unreasonable. I kind of joked with this person. I said it is reasonable, just not for everyone's reasons. So yeah, everybody has their opinion about why they are not buying in this market, And the reason I am sharing this with all you guys because I want you guys to understand one thing. Your situation is going to be different from somebody that made a comment on my post. Your situation is going to be different from your family members, your friends, your relatives. So like don't compare yourself to anybody. Find out for yourself. Start putting a budget plan together and then talk to a lender and then start crunching numbers and coming up with a game plan of how much you can afford a month. And with that affordability, can you buy the home that you need? And if it works out in the numbers and it's a yes, 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 then maybe it might be better. Because either way, I always like to say you're paying a mortgage. Whose mortgage are you paying though? Is it your mortgage or is it the landlord's mortgage? So think about that. Okay. I know everybody hate mortgages, but everybody's paying it. Just depends on who owns the mortgage. Well, we know the bank owns it, but who you're paying the mortgage for? Yourself or your landlord? Your landlord or yourself? Okay. Food for thought. Okay. I want to talk about selling your home. Okay. One of the topics today is about selling your home, but it's not the typical selling your home topic. It's selling your home, how to sell your home without an agent like myself. Okay. Because some of you sellers are interested in learning how to sell your home without an agent, hiring an agent, paying for their commission. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys how. All right. How to sell your home in today's market without an agent. All right. So if you are a seller, if you know a seller, you can share this video with them. Okay. Tag me or tag them. All right. So the first thing you got to do as the owner, if you're looking to sell your home without an agent, you got to determine how much your home is worth. Not how much you think the home is worth, how much the market thinks the home is worth. Okay. So how do you do that? You go to open houses on nearby homes in your area that's similar in square feet, bed count, all of that. It needs to be similar to yours. You can't compare your 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,000 square foot home to a 3,000 square foot, 5 bedroom, 4 bath house. Okay. I see that happening all the time. A owner wants to sell their house and they're comping their homes and comparing it to like $1 million home. It's like, yeah, you guys are neighbors, but their home is different from your home. You cannot use that comp. Okay. I'm sorry. And then when I say that to them, and then I don't get the listing, because they get upset, that I told them that their home is not worth that much, because I was just being real. So yeah, determine how much your home is worth. Okay, you can even call your agent. Shoot, call me, and I'll tell you how much your home is worth, even though I'm not gonna get a job. If but then just get a pretty good comparison on your home. Do not rely on Zillow. Zillow's estimates are highly manipulated. Okay, they got in trouble for that recently. Okay, so do not rely on Zillow. It's come a long way with their estimates, but they are not 100% accurate. They're not accurate. Okay, a appraiser will tell you straight up, don't use Zillow's estimates. Okay. Now,
Not
number
only are they
two.
not accurate, they're also hilarious.
They are super hilarious. Sometimes I'll get a seller that calls me, Charles. They'll be like, "Chia, Zillow says my home is worth this much. Sell it for me, please." I'm like, hold on, let me double check Zillow's work. I mean, you guys have seen some of the shows that I've done here to where I would like compare Zillow's estimates to actual comps in the area, right? And most of the time they're wrong. You guys have seen it on this show. So like I need to look that up. That was a good episode. I need to look that up, okay? Because I still get people calling me about Zillow's estimates. It's tempting, you know. But consult with somebody you know and trust and get their opinion about your home. Okay, and then go from there. Okay, the second thing you need to do is you need to prepare your home. Okay, when I say prepare, I'm not saying um you find out the price, you took pictures, and now it's on the market. You don't want to do that because then what if a buyer calls you and they want to see the home? It's not ready, meaning you didn't prepare it. You didn't declutter what needed to be decluttered. Matter of fact, the home is empty. You don't nobody lives there and you don't stage it, you don't clean it, all of that. Okay, so prepare the home. You want to attract the buyers right now, especially with people buyers being super picky. Even though we don't have a lot of inventory, they're being super picky now because they know that sellers are going to accommodate their requests. Buyers are being picky, so you want to be able to draw them to your house. And the first place they go to is on Zillow, Redfin, or Realtor.com. And if your pictures on there were shot by your phone and not an actual photographer that did a good job editing it, doing all the good lightings, they're not going to want to come see your home. Okay, today I showed a home. There was no photos of the interior on the home. Okay, so my client was super curious. I was curious, and I told them, normally when there's no photos of an inside of a house, it means it looks too good. I'm just playing. It means it means it doesn't look good inside, or it means that somebody's still in there and they have a lot of stuff in there and it's not photo ready and it's not picture pretty. So when we showed up, sure enough, man, there was no room to move. Boxes everywhere. We couldn't even see the full layout because they were packing. I mean, I get it, but then again, that is not ready. Okay, something like that, it is not ready. That home is gonna stay on the market for a while because people that go in there, their impression is gonna be like, yuck, and they're not even gonna want to look at it no more. So, impression is everything. Pictures, draw them in from online to want to come see in person, and then cleaning and decluttering and staging the home gets the home prepared. And also another preparation is you need to be ready to pick up your phone and answer these calls that buyer calling in regards about and scheduling them to come. So be prepared for that if you're planning on selling your home without an agent. And then 3, you got to market your home properly. Okay, it means social media like this, or letting your neighbors know, maybe print out flyers, pass it down to neighbors, let the friends and family in the area know that you're selling your home, put up an ad, something. Okay, you just got to market your house. Okay, a lot of times what agents do is they will market your house, whether it's through social media or through their other clientels. Okay, because not all agents do this, but the a really good listing agent will pay for marketing on your home. They will pay for the staging. They will pay for the photos. You don't have to do none of that. Okay, so that's what you're gonna need to prepare to do if you're selling your home without an agent. Okay, the next step, when you're taking pictures of the home, again, I already mentioned this, don't use this. Okay, yeah, phones have come a long way with their camera qualities. They're great, but then don't take a picture on your phone. I always like to tell people I don't hire a photographer for them to take the picture. I hire them because of their editing skills. Okay? Yes, you guys heard it here first. I hire editors for their editing skills, not for their angles, or I mean that matters too, but they're not really for taking the picture. I could do that on here. Okay, I hire them because I want them to take good professional photos and edit it professionally. And you're gonna need to prepare to do the same thing. All right. Next step, be prepared to do your own documents. Okay. So when you get an offer that comes in, you need to make sure that you're vetting the offers, the buyers. Make sure that they're qualified. Don't just accept an offer without vetting that buyer, because what if that buyer's not qualified? They just fell in love with your home and then they started the pre-approval process. And then you're already a week in. You're like a week in, and then you realize, oh shoot, you're not even qualified to buy my home. Why did you submit an offer then? Because I love your home, seller. That happens more than you would think, dude. It happens a lot. So screen every offer that comes in. How do you do that? When you get an offer, make sure there's a pre-approval letter attached to it. If they're using cash, make sure they send you a bank statement and they could cross out their account number that shows the available funds. But when you get that pre-approval letter for them, call their lender. Find out how long they've been looking. Find out what their debt to income ratio and all that is. Like if they share that with you, vet them out. Okay, you want to do that. And then if you come across a buyer's offer that you do end up liking, you're thinking about accepting. Make sure you know how to read the offers, okay, and make sure you know how to handle all the documentations. When they order home inspections, be prepared for that. They're gonna start sending you documentations about requesting repairs on your home. Are you ready to negotiate? So be prepared for that. Okay. Another thing too is appraisals. The first step, you found out how much your home is worth. Hopefully not through Zillow. Now you have an actual appraiser that was ordered by the buyer's bank, and the appraiser now is going to be giving their opinion on how much your home is worth. If it comes back lower, are you going to be okay with that? If it comes back higher, you can't cancel anymore because again, the buyer submitted it at a certain price and you agreed at a certain price. Okay. So now you left money on the table for a buyer. Okay. So be prepared for that if you're planning on selling your home without using an agent. Now, if everything goes through smoothly, remember you're doing all of this while you're still planning on moving out, where your next location is going to be, if you're still staying in the home. If it's vacant, then you're good. But be prepared for the closing process now, because everything went through. Their loan docs are in. They signed. They're going to do their final walkthrough on the property to make sure you didn't take anything, hide anything, like remove your chandelier that you promised to leave. You're like, again, I've seen some crazy things happen, but they're going to do a final walkthrough again to make sure that the property is still intact, like when they first agreed and saw it. So once all that's done, you got to get ready to pass over the keys to the new buyers and go through all of that. And if you've lived in the home for under 2 years, but you made money, be prepared to pay capital gains tax. Okay. Depending on where you're at. But in California here, if you live in the home for under 2 years and you sell it, capital gains. Okay. And then that's how you sell a home without an agent. You just got to do all of that. It's not a lot, but you just got to do all of that.
I know you're being sarcastic.
I'm not being sarcastic. Some sellers are able to do all of this,
I would hope that they have some kind of background, because these disclosures and contracts and then documents that y'all have to do, man, you need to know what you're doing.
Honestly, I'll say this, Charles. Honestly, a lot of those contracts are really just disclosures, and that's the most important document. Really, is the disclosure part about the property. But really, most of these contracts are about. It's just kind of like a glossary to kind of let you know what the terminologies mean. What does the dual agency mean? Who's representing you? Who's a buyer's agent? Who's a seller, listing agent? Like, it's just a lot of terminologies, really.
You know what's crazy though, man, is like I've been in so many situations, with friends or clients that the buyers or listing agent just didn't actually like read or fill out the documents properly before they even submitted an offer. And that's the thing that's scary, right? So you got people that just really don't know what they're doing, or they kind of, know some of it, but then they're actually representing that person that they're trying to buy or sell this house for, right? Like you mentioned, all of that with actually, and that's the thing that a lot of times people don't understand when they go to get ready to list their house, what that listing agent does, and why it is that commission is what it is, right? It's like what that listing agent does is so much, if they have the right agent, right? They're paying for actual ads, not just sticking it on Facebook or doing whatever. They're actually paying for it to
Some
get
do.
exposure.
Some do
Yeah,
that.
and then actually hiring a professional photographer. I have seen some of the worst pictures on listings before, right? And then, like you said, right, you get to one where because as a home inspector, I got to do some research before I get to the house, but I want to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah, yeah.
what I'm getting into, right? So it's like when you go out there and you see there's no pictures or there's one picture of the front, then you're just like, ooh, that's gonna be a bad one,
It's
right?
okay. You still have Google Maps.
Right. And then the other thing is, like you said, the editing skills, right? So you get on there and you're looking at the listing photos and you're like, ooh, this looks clean. This is nice. This is gonna be a good one. And then you get there and you're like, wow, they really edited this.
Yeah.
This thing detail,
But then it got you to the home though. You see what I mean?
Right. And then when I see it and I'm like, ooh, this looks good. That's the same thing that the buyer's saying. They're saying, ooh, I want to get in here. And then, once they get there, then they're there. And then they're going to look at everything else. And right, they're going to say, okay, well, yeah, I mean, the floor is a little beat up and it doesn't look like it did in the pictures, but this is still a great house. And then they're starting to find things that they like. Then they're drawn in, then they're there, right?
Yep.
So yeah, all that stuff. You got to have the right. Again, it's like you said, yeah, you can do it on your own, but man, having the right agent that has the right representation is huge, and giving you all of that. There's so much that goes into it to have it, and then that's what's going to get your house sold quick.
There's so much that goes into it. Like a lot of clients, what they don't realize is they don't see their listing agents negotiating behind closed doors for them. Like you guys don't know this, but then sometimes we do so much, like negotiating credits, negotiating repairs, things like that. Not all the time that it goes smoothly. Sometimes, you fight back, and sometimes you got to cancel to kind of get their attention, So, like, there's a lot of going back and forth. And sellers, are you prepared to do that? You have a 9 to 5, you have your own family. You got to learn how to be a negotiator about your home. You're going to be, and remember, your emotions are still attached to the home. And so imagine when you're going through the repairs request and you're looking at the home inspection report that Charles just gave the buyers, and you're like, my home does not have that many dry rot, or what? His drone went underneath my crawl space and found all those leaks. I don't have leaks. You're going to get super offended. You're going to get super worked out, And so are you prepared for that emotionally? Because it's going to happen, So like, that's where when you hire like an expert to represent you in selling a home, they don't have any emotions attached to it. Like, it's not that they don't have feelings. It's that they know what gets the job done, and they are there to help you sell your home so that you can move into the next chapter of your life without drama, without being worked up, without being emotionally down, because it's gonna happen. All right. And like, yes, you could sell the home without an agent, and it's gonna save you money when it comes to the commissions, but you're gonna gain a lot more with that lower commission. You're gonna be more time consumed because you're gonna be answering phone calls about every buyer coming in. You're gonna be talking to appraisers, home inspectors. Charles is gonna be calling you like hella late at night saying, can I come in and inspect your home tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.? I'm just playing. And like, you're gonna have to like consider all of these things. But if you are prepared for it and you're okay with it, by all means, that is awesome. Some sellers are able to do it. And that's why I wanted to go over all the steps with you guys, because some sellers do rather sell their home without an agent. And that's perfectly fine. Like sometimes I do my own DIY stuff in the house too, without hiring a contractor. I want to do that, save some costs, get some headache back in return. But it's all good. Sometimes I want to inspect my own house without calling Charles. I mean, I don't get all the points in it, but then like, I did my best. But
Really,
yeah,
when it comes down to it, yeah, it's like if you feel that you have some of the skills to do it. And especially if you're a pretty, smart person and you can kind of figure things out. I mean, anybody can do any of these things. It's just like, being a realtor, being, a home inspector, being a contractor, all these things. It's like, it takes training and it takes time, right? But the whole point of you hiring somebody else to do it is because that person has more experience in it, and that person, and then it takes the stress off of you, right? So that's the idea. So like having that stress, yeah, it's a lot. And like I said, I mean, obviously I work with so many different agents and have heard so many different stories about the different things that they've gone through. And, it's rough for me because, obviously, I'm a certified deal killer. So I just go through and I just run through and kill their deals, trying to find as many things as possible.
Everybody hates you, huh?
I mean, it's what it is, but it's all about the situation that you're dealing with, right? You still are going to buy this house, right? That agent cares about you. That agent has every interest in you and making sure that you're getting taken care of, as long as you have the right agent, right? And then you're getting this report that's got all this stuff on it, right? But you got to remember, you're going to have to deal with that at some point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That leak or all these leaks that you said, oh, okay, fine. And I'll just get a credit and I'll just deal with it. Or, I'll just get to that later. Or, oh, we really want this house. Let's just get in it. We'll deal with that later. At some point, you still got to deal with that stuff. Remember that, And so, all these things that come up, they're always fixable, unless the house is just literally falling down and the foundation's messed up. But all of these things, it's all about how you want to spend the money, if you have to know how to do it yourself, and is it worth it to you to get into that house with all these things. You're never going to buy a pre-owned home that's not going to have some kind of problem. And regardless of the seller that's put all this money into it and everything else, there's always going to be something wrong. Always. It might be something big. Same thing. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, these new builds. I felt like the quality of new builds has gone down so much, to the point where I'm looking at all these houses as I'm driving through my neighborhood, and I'm just like, man, like I'm just imagining how many things are wrong with these houses that no one's going to know about, until they go to sell their house, right? I just did a 2018 build the other day, and again, found a lot of different things that were coming up that should have been addressed way back in the beginning when the house was built. Why was it even done that way in the first place, right? And I just feel like the craftsmanship is just going down worse and worse and worse. Maybe it's because
they're saving costs.
Yeah, saving costs, rushing in to get paying the contractors less, so they're giving them a lesser quality. So it's just it's that much more important that you have proper representation. Like I said, in both situations, you need to, whether or not it's a brand new build or not, don't let anybody tell you that you don't need the representation of an agent, and don't let anybody tell you that you don't need any kind of third party person to come in and take a look at it. It's you're protecting your interest buying this $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house. You got to think about that.
And plus, you want to also try getting sued. That's the big one right there that people don't realize. We are in California. Everybody sues everybody for one little thing. So like that's the biggest thing, like you think you could avoid that, but all it takes is just one pissed off buyer. And then, but then because they have representation or so, and you didn't, that could be a lot of drama. You could be there scratching your head going, all I wanted to do was sell my home, and now I have to deal with all of this. It could happen. Okay. It could happen. People, we are going through like desperate times right now. And when people are desperate, they do stupid things. They don't think straight. They don't talk straight. They just don't do things straight.
What was that you were just talking about? Disclosures, right? That's one of the biggest documents in that.
Oh yeah.
It's just, but to people, I think people just don't understand that, when you had a leak in your toilet, you gotta disclose 5 years ago,
you knew about it.
You got to disclose that. So what happened though? Okay, well, you had a leak in your bathroom or in your laundry room, and there's something going on underneath, but you dried it up, it was all good, so it's fine. But you don't know what happened underneath the floor. You don't know what happened behind the baseboard. You don't know what happened underneath the house because you didn't investigate. You just blew it off with the fan and said, all right, it's cool, it's good. I live here, it's my house, whatever. I'm gonna do what I want. But then you went and sold it, but you forgot there was a leak there because nothing ever happened, right? It was dried, nothing. The baseboard looked cool, whatever. But there's mold back there. The floor is messed up, whatever it is. It's like you don't realize it until the problem happens, right? So you really have to. That's another reason why it's really important. Again, maintenance, documentation, all that, because
Mm-hmm.
later on when you go to sell your house, you really need to talk about that. And then if the seller or the buyer feels like it, well, you knew that happened. How come you didn't disclose it? How come you didn't tell me that you had a leak? Now I got to deal with this mold situation, and it's all your
Yep.
fault. And now all of a sudden you got litigation. So gotta think about that.
Yes, you do. People don't think about it enough, So like you really got to think about it, because some sellers don't disclose 100% what they know about their own home to buyers, and
On
if that
purpose.
buyer on purpose, okay, and that buyer, if that buyer finds out and they know that you knew, or they hire their own contractors to do inspections even after they move in. I had this one colleague of mine, Charles. You know this guy too, and he sold a home to his buyer. His buyer moved in. His buyer always wondered why the backyard, there was this particular area that grass just don't grow at. Everywhere else is fine. And then one time he was out there watering it, and then his neighbor came out. He started talking to his neighbors, and then he got curious, and he was like, "Do you know what the previous tenant did here on this particular spot? Because it doesn't grow anything. Everywhere else is fine." And then the neighbor goes, "Your agent didn't tell you what happened here?" And then he goes, "What are you talking about?" So the neighbor goes, "Once upon a time, the son of this house killed his mom and buried the mom here." And then, dude, that buyer called my colleague up and goes, "Did you know? Was it disclosed? Like, what am I gonna do here?" And then the colleague goes, "It wasn't on the disclosures. Let me call the seller out." And the seller was an investor, of course, right? And here's what happened, okay? It went on for a couple of years, but the seller wasn't at fault. Here's why. They bought the home at an auction. The person that sold it, like it was a trust. It was a trust. And so there was no knowledge about the property history, none of that. So they didn't disclose what they didn't know. So they were off the hook. Everything was fine. The client had to deal with it, but again,
So you're
disclosures
telling
is
me
very important.
you're telling me that you're telling me that just because it's a trust or because they're an investor, they didn't know any better, so that means they're off the hook.
Well, they got
Wow.
off the hook because they really did not know, and the
Okay.
buyers could not prove that they knew or did not know. So it just left it at that. But now here's the tricky part. If that buyer decides, what, I don't want to deal with this spiritual crap, I want to sell it, that buyer knows. That buyer needs to disclose it to the new
Yeah.
buyers now.
Oh man, what a mess. What
Isn't
a
that
mess.
crazy? That's a big
That's
mess,
a
dude.
mess.
Now
Oh,
that buyer has knowledge, they cannot withhold that knowledge from the next prospect.
and that's what's crazy about it too, right? So you figure like when you're in this transaction to buy this house, right?
Yeah.
And the home inspector, the termite inspector, whoever else uncovers this crazy thing that the seller had no idea about, right? You think, oh, it's
Yeah.
all good. Well, I got 3 other offers on the table. Well, those other 3 offers on the table now have to be notified about this new stuff that you didn't know about, right? So
So that's
obviously
the
it's
thing.
it's in their
That's
best
the
interest
thing.
to deal with the person that they're dealing with. They're already in contract, but a lot of times it still falls out because they just don't want to deal, right? And then
So
they end up
so
lowering the
so
price.
oh yeah. I got a story about that. There's this
Okay.
particular agent. I'm not gonna call their name, but when a buyer does a home inspection and there's all these repairs or issues that come up and they cancel because of those reasons, so by law, as a seller, you know these things now. You're supposed to disclose it, right? Like what you said, to all the new prospects coming in. This agent encourages the seller not to disclose it and just to lie and say that they never did any inspections on the home.
Well,
Because
and
home inspections are not public record. Only pests.
exactly. Yes.
Only pests, right? So if they look it up, they're only gonna see a pest.
Yeah.
And if they did call the pest company that was also the one that did the home inspection, they can't really share information by the
No.
other, right?
No, because
can't do it.
they can't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have permission. And then how many times I'm gonna tell you, this has happened in the past where we look at a property and it's like, wait a minute, we already did an inspection on that property, right? And then you go to ask the seller or the buyer or whatever else, hey, do you mind if we share these reports? No, you can't. I don't want to share them.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
It's because of that. Yeah, it's because of that.
Or seller has the reports, right? And then they say, no, I'm not sharing these reports. I don't have nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. And then we talk, you contact the buyer and you say, hey, this new buyer wants the reports. And they're like, yeah, go right ahead. Share it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like everything's out there. But that's the thing. That's unfortunate because, that's a huge
lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's just waiting to happen. Yeah, because not understanding that those disclosures have to be the way they are. I mean, again, that's why it's so important to have a good agent, because there's so many agents out there telling their clients to do crazy things. And the client doesn't know any better. The buyer, the seller doesn't know any better. They think it's fine because that agent told them it was cool. And that's just the part that's unfortunate. There are so many.
There are bad apples in every industry. Unfortunately, there is. And that just sucks.
It does.
But do you have a report that you could probably share on how it looks? Because a lot of first-time home buyers don't want to rely on the report, because I feel like sometimes they want to be there, which they should, right, for the walkthrough to get educated. But then a lot of times they don't know what they're looking at when they're reading these reports. Do you have like an example of a report that you do and you generate and what you try to put on there?
Here's the problem with that. Okay, so that's another problem. I feel that if you're encouraged as a client not to come to the inspection for whatever reason, that is also, again, rather unfortunate, because number one, that's one of the things that needs to be understood. We are not talking about the entire home inspection report when we do a walkthrough. People need to understand that. That's not what happens.
That's going to be another inspection all over again. Yeah.
Right. You would be there for 3 hours doing a walkthrough, right?
Come here, Mr. Buyer. Let's go climb the attic.
Yeah. The whole point is to give a very short summary of what actually was going on. That's the idea, right? So it's just kind of one of those things where you're just like, okay, well, I don't really know where to go with it. But hold on a second, I'm pulling this one up. The thing is just like I like to do the walkthroughs because I like to give the information to them. I don't know how many times I've gone back later and heard somebody say, well, nobody told me about that.
Yeah. But I feel like, again, that goes back to what you were just saying right there. It goes back to like a pretty good home inspector that is going to reach out to the client, right? And say, hey, look, inspections on this day at this time, your walkthroughs at this time. Can you make it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Some buyers can't make it. And that's where the report comes in, right? So I think the report is just, if not as important as the walkthrough, right? Because it's going to be way more detailed, right?
Yes.
So that's what I kind of like about your reports is that it's super detailed. Anybody could read that and look at it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, these are all the things that he mentioned, and then if you could do a double whammy and do the walkthrough too and look at the report, now everything's going to just flow, right? When you're going through the report, you can be like, oh, yeah, this is what Charles said. Okay, I remember. Yeah, cool.
So I honestly feel that the walkthrough is as important as being able to get the report, because number one, you need to be able to, that's the other thing too. I think that some people like to kind of shield their own their clients because they're worried about the way the information is going to be given. But again, that's where it comes into having an inspector that's able to give information in a good, simple way without, basically making them feel scared about it, but still giving the information, right? Like you have to, it's
Mm-hmm.
all about in the way that you communicate. So they've had so many bad experiences that instead of actually, doing this thing that's very important and actually allowing their buyers or trying to make sure there's a schedule, I've had people tell me, no, that's not going to work. My buyer can't come then, instead of just saying, oh, don't worry about it. You can just you read the report or whatever, that's fine. And especially if you're good at doing that, but there's still a difference in the way that the information is given. If
Yeah.
it's given by the person that did the inspection, and it's so much more, the information is given in so much more detail that it's hard to gloss over. Like I said, I don't know how many times I've been back to a home because the person said that they didn't know that this was the way it was, or they didn't see the report or whatever it
Mm.
was. I was in a hurry and I was just whatever. Well, you're gonna be worried about that later. It's like you're gonna regret it later, and then you're gonna be looking for somebody to be upset with. But in the scheme of things, you were the person that should have been upset with. You should have never just glossed over it and said, oh, it's fine, I just want to buy this house. You got to do all the right steps when you're doing these, because if you don't, you're going to miss something, and then it's going to bother you later. You need to know what was found. You need to, and heck, if you can't be there, at least read through these reports in detail. And then if you have questions, then call the company that did it and ask the questions. It doesn't matter if your agent tells you not to or whatever. This is your house that you're buying, and this is your
Yeah,
report that you paid for.
I love going over the home inspection report with my clients, because then that's where we get to negotiate, y'all.
Mm-hmm,
That's where we can
mm-hmm.
start tearing the house apart and going, hey, look, let's ask for the sellers to do all of this
Can
and
I
see
ask you,
what they
Saddam?
say.
Do you is that like it? Because for me, I go into a house and I get excited when I find things. Do you get excited when you get to negotiate? Is that like a thing for you? Like, yeah, okay, I get to tell them. How
Yeah,
do you feel about that?
because then I feel like I've won something for my clients. I feel like, they didn't need to worry about it. And I felt like, because for me, my goal is I want them to go through a transaction as smoothly as possible. And then at the end of it, they're like, man, everything went by so smooth. Like there was no drama at all. And then I'm over here going, oh, there was drama, right? I just didn't tell you about it. Like I did all of that already. I shielded you from all of that. So
Yes.
for me, I feel like whenever I negotiate with another agent about certain repairs and all of that for my clients' behalf, whether it's a seller or a buyer, that I'm representing, I feel like I put their interests at heart, and like I did what I was supposed to do. I did my duty, you know. So for me, it's fun. It's just fun, you get to win. I mean, you win some, you lose some, but you get to do right by your client. So that's kind of what I love. So like that's why, again, whenever I get that report from you guys, I'm always hounding you guys, going, am I gonna get that report today, or is it tomorrow? And then I go over it with my clients one by one. You still looking for that report?
No, I got one right here. So this is the perfect example, right? So somebody that's not going to be on a roof, right? You have an option to see some things that you wouldn't have been able to see, right? So you can climb up on the roof, you can do whatever you want to do, right? Not during the inspection though. Don't climb on my ladder. That's unsafe, right? But the idea is that's what we're doing. We're actually taking the time to do the things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do, and to find the things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to find, right? And give you a vantage point that you might not have necessarily had, right?
Mm-mm-mm.
It's like getting in the areas that you can't or don't want to get into, right?
Yeah, want. That's the
Looking into
word,
these
want.
things, right? Exactly, and so and then that's the thing that's great about these reports is having that basically that illustration of what's going on with this house, right? And that's why it's important to really go through these things and to really look at them, because if you don't, it's like there's things in here that you need to do. There's things in here that are just regular maintenance tips that you should follow, but it's like if you don't, then you're still going to run into the same problems later. How many people want to actually go into their attic, and actually get in there when it's hot or cold or whatever? But there's reasons to go in there. There's things that you need to go in there to look at.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was telling you the first
Is that
time.
insulation? That's insulation, right?
This is insulation. Yeah. So they had an older type that they
Yeah.
had, and then they blew in new stuff over the top of it because they wanted a higher R value.
One of these days, we need you to go through a report and like tell us the mindset behind when you put the report together. What's going through your head? Like, how do
Well,
you keep
and
yourself so organized when it comes to all of this? There's a
well, and
lot.
I'll tell you, there's something about it that just that's actually that actually it's different, right? So everybody has their own routine, and I know we mentioned this before. We were talking about whether or not you're getting an old home, you're getting a Victorian style, you're getting a new 2010 built, you're getting a manufactured home.
Yeah.
When you just go into a home and you're just looking at things, you have your own routine of how you're going to inspect a house, right?
Right.
But when you just go off of this cookie cutter routine that's in a template and you just look at what's going on, you have to also understand that there's things that if you don't even know what you're looking at and you don't even know that that's a problem, then you're not going to call it out, right? So
Yeah.
when you're walking
That's true.
around, and even if like it's the same thing, it's like, why do you hire me, right? So I'm going to go through here and look at this stuff, and I'm going to look at this, and I didn't even think to look at that. I didn't even know what that was, right? But now you know it's a problem, and now you need to think about it, right? So the idea is there's the routine, there's the standard way of doing it. You can go through every house. Every house has a bathroom, every house has a kitchen, every house has a roof, so there's always those things that you look at. But what about that manufactured home? What types of roofs do those manufactured homes have? What types of
Mm.
Crawl spaces? What types of support systems do manufactured homes have in comparison to a regular stick built
Crawl
home?
space. Mhm.
Exactly. But and then are those manufactured homes more prone to, is there really a foundation on those manufactured homes? What supports the floor?
Yeah.
There's so many different things that come into this, and again, without the experience, it's just like having the agent that has the knowledge and the experience. Without that, you're just getting someone that's reading off of a script and looking at things, but you need to be able to have that. And so the idea for me is when I go in, I'm going in and I'm going off of my standard routine. But when I'm looking at things, I'm looking, and I have a problem with this. I hate it when I go to my friends' houses and stuff. I'll be at a restaurant and I'll be sitting at that table, and be like, man, they got some dry rot up there. I'll be looking at the ceiling and be like, man, I'm one of them stains that they must have a leak on the roof. I still remember this day. I was going to tour my son's school. This was about 3 years ago. He was going to a new school, and they did this little walkthrough tour thing. So we went there, and I was walking up. I was like, man, this place is kind of beat up. They got a lot of dry rot on their sign. And I'm like, man, they got a lot. And then when I get in, I'm looking up, and I'm just looking. I see these stains on the roof. It's like I'm listening to somebody talk to me while they're presenting their school and everything. And I'm looking. I'm just sitting in my chair, and I'm kind of just looking and scanning. And I'm seeing these stains, and I'm thinking, man, they got some leaks going on here. brand new school. Then I'm like, why is their roof leaking already? They already got leaks here. What's going on? So it's unfortunate. I can't turn it off. It's very difficult for me to just be able to turn off that feeling of looking
That's
at things.
just who you are.
But it sucks though, because I'll go into a house I'm just my friend's house, and I'm just visiting, and I'm looking around being like, oh man, I love how you redid those carpets. Oh man, I like how you did that. I'm like, oh, what's up with this though? Because this ain't working right here. What's going on with this?
I know how you feel, man. I go to family gatherings. I'm like, hey, you looking to buy or sell your home? Tia,
Oh
it's
man,
Thanksgiving, bro. We're here to eat,
Stop
man.
it.
Stop it. It's like, oops, my bad. That's just how it is, man. That's just how it is when you're an owner,
Yeah.
When you have your own business going on, that's all you can think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Okay, well, it's over. It's over an hour, man. I don't want to take too much. I don't want to take you away from your family too much longer. So I'll end it here and close it out, man. But other than that, did you want to? Is there anything else you want to talk about before I close this out?
Nah, like I said, just good week. Now we can definitely talk about a report. Talk about more of the details and all that. I know we were kind of getting into some of that today. That's how I like it. When you start to have these conversations, we just get into things and start talking about it. So now we can definitely go over that, because I think it would definitely be useful, for a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers to understand what that inspection is going to entail, what you need to prepare for. Right.
Yeah.
Some people said, well, I don't need to take all the stuff out of my closet. Well, do you want me to do it? Because you might not like how I do it. Right. But then I just won't do it because I don't want to move all your stuff. And then you're going to get upset because I didn't move your stuff. So you got to think about that. What do you
I have my drawers in that box.
You know, what do you need to prepare for when you know people are going to be coming in and looking at your house, right? When you think, okay, well, I'm just gonna sell my house and I'm gonna have people coming in to look at it. That's cool. And but on inspection day, people are really going to be looking at it. We're going to be bringing the buyers in, and they're going to look in all the places that we did, and we're going to talk about all this stuff. So just keep that in
Mhm.
mind. Just keep that in mind.
Yes. So again, you guys heard it here. If you guys are planning on selling your home without an agent, it's perfectly fine. You could do it. You guys could go back and rewatch this video, rewind as many times as you want, share it with your friends and family that's looking to do the same thing. And again, like if you guys are not, then reach out to me or reach out to an expert that you want to use in your town and area and see what they think. But other than that, I think I'm going to close this out, Charles. I'm going to let everybody go and enjoy the rest of their Friday with their family. But we'll see you guys soon next week. All right. Chi Chi fams. Peace out.